revenge. I wonder, do you ever get the feeling that if somebody's hurt you, you want to get your own back? When I was a boy, around about 13, 14 years old, I remember one Saturday morning going to a friend's house to play football. He lived kind of like mid-terrace. The only way of getting to his back garden was to go through the house. The backyard was all fenced off, and beyond it was some school playing fields. And one Saturday morning we went to his house and we were playing football in his house, and within about 5 or 10 minutes a big gang of lads appeared on the football field behind, and they started throwing stones at us over the fence. And me and my friend were like cowering down in the corner like this, trying to cover our heads. And as I looked, I was trying to clock the faces of the people who were throwing stones at us. And after about 10 or 15 minutes, it stopped and they went away. But a couple of weeks later, I remember catching up with one of them after school as we were walking home. And I instantly went on to him and grabbed him and said, "It was you. You were there the other week throwing stones at me." And he was like, no, it wasn't me, it wasn't me. I said, "Yes, it was you. You were throwing stones. Come on, throw your stones now." I said, "Come on, get your stone, throw your stone now. Not with your gang now." No, it wasn't me. And so I went bang and I hit him, and I hit him again. And I felt that sense of relief, almost as if, yes, I got my own back. Little did I realise that a couple of hours later, the police were knocking on my door, and I got into trouble for hitting him in the street. Or there's that story I was hearing about a driver who, filled with road rage, every time he'd go out on the road, and if people would cut in front of him or cut him up, he'd shake his fist at them or give him the finger. Rah, he would shout, "I'm gonna get you." And what he did was he filled his glove box up with golf balls, and he drove one afternoon down the M6, and any time somebody would cut him up, he would whiz on and overtake them. He would open up his sunroof and lob a few golf balls out of the sunroof to the car behind. And at one time, one car swerved, caused an accident. And he was caught on the CCTV cameras and prosecuted. Or the woman whose husband has run off with somebody else, and so she puts chilies in his underpants, cuts his clothes up and throws them on the front lawn. Every single one of us at some point in our lives have been hurt by somebody else. Somebody who has upset us, somebody who said the wrong thing, somebody who perhaps has done wrong to us. And I wonder, on those occasions, are we filled with that sense of rage? I'm going to get you back. You know, you get a stone and I'll get a stick. You get a stick and I'll get a gun. You get a gun and I'll get a tank. You get a tank and I'll get a bomb. It's just mindless, and it just goes on and on and on. And that revenge goes from one party onto the other party, just simply fighting the whole time. There's an Old Testament story in the book of Judges about a character called Samson. Samson, the strong man, he is one of the judges. And before he was born, Samson's mother made a promise that she would dedicate him to God. And part of that promise was to take a vow that he would never have his hair cut and never shave his face. And all of his strength was contained within his hair. And he has an ongoing battle with a group of people called the Philistines. At the time, these were enemies of God's people. And this tit-for-tat, to-ing and fro-ing of mindless violence goes on between Samson and the Philistines. On one occasion, Samson herds together 300 foxes. He ties their tails together, sets light to them, and lets them loose in the Philistines' field. And they burn all their crops down. And so the Philistines, filled with rage, think, yeah, we're going to get him back. And they go to Samson's father's house, and they burn his house down, and they burn his wife's house down, and they kill the two of them. And this tit-for-tat violence just goes on and on and on. On one occasion, Samson kills 1,000 of their soldiers in their army. Eventually, as the story unfolds, Samson meets a lady called Delilah, who discovers the secret of his strength, tells the Philistines, and they cut off all his hair and gouge his eyes out with a spoon. It's gory, gruesome, violent stuff, but it just shows the extent to which vengeance, if let loose, can cause irreparable damage. I wonder, are we thinking of those people, or can we think of those people who have upset us, those people who have hurt us, those people for whatever reason have done us wrong? Are we thinking to ourselves, I'm gonna get you? Are we filled with this pent-up rage, wondering when we'll have the opportunity to wreak vengeance upon those who have hurt us? It's not the way to live. It doesn't solve anything. Just imagine that stone for a moment. If you could hold that stone in your hand and think about the stone as somebody you don't like, and squeeze it as hard as you can, or squeeze the stone, all that's happening is that you are getting hurt and the stone doesn't feel a thing. Vengeance is not the way to live. Forgiveness, grace, mercy, love is a much better way. From the cross, Jesus says, after they've nailed his hands and feet to the cross and put a crown of thorns upon his head, he calls out, Father, forgive them. Vengeance doesn't work.